Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Marketing on Tap. This is Sam Fiorella and my mate Danny Brown. We are today talking about YouTube and the burnout of YouTube celebrities. And I picked this up. The reason I want to talk about it, for those of you that follow me on other channels, recently I was a guest on CBC Radio across Canada talking about this. And as I was talking about it, the focus was on mental health, but I think that there's some real marketing implications for brand marketers as well as wannabe influencers that would be relevant to this audience here. So Danny, I'm going to read you two paragraphs from this Polygon article where we first learned about this. And the title of the article is YouTube's top creators are burning out and breaking down en masse. 3 weeks ago, Bobby Burns, a YouTuber with just under 1 million subscribers, sat down on a rock in Central Park to talk about a recent mental health episode. 1 week ago, Elle Mills, a creator with more than 1.2 million subscribers, uploaded a video that included vulnerable footage during a breakdown. 6 days ago, Ruben Gunderson, the third most popular YouTuber in the world with just under 30 million subscribers, turned on his camera to talk to his viewers about the fear of an impending breakdown and his decision to take a break from YouTube. Burns, Mills, Gunderson aren't alone. Eric Phillips, with 4 million subscribers, Benjamin Vestergaard, 2.7 million subscribers, and other top YouTubers have either announced brief hiatuses from the platform or discussed their own struggles with burnout in this past month alone. Everyone from PewDiePie with 62 million subscribers to Jake Paul with 15 million subscribers have dealt with burnout. Lately, however, it seems like more of YouTube's top creators are coming forward with their mental health problems. And so I think this is really indicative of sort of maybe the collapse of this industry, at least this part of the industry that I want to talk about. We've somehow always end up on the area of influence marketing because it's just so prevalent in what everybody's doing today. So that's what I want to explore today. But before we do that, as always, what did you just pour with that wonky can opener?
The wonky can opener. It's like the wonky donkey. This is Dragon's Milk, Bourbon Barrel-Aged Stout.
Nice.
From New Holland Brewing, who are over in Michigan. Michigan in the US. So it's a new beer for us in Canada. The LCBO has just started to bring some of it in. But it's got because it's bourbon barrel-aged, there's a nice sort of whiskey flavor going through. It's a very warm and stout.
I can almost smell the cask
right
away.
And you can get a lot of oak and vanilla coming through and malt. So it should be. I chose it for 3 reasons. One, we just came back from Kentucky, bourbon capital, so we brought bourbon. That makes sense. 2, it's horrible, crappy weather outside, so a nice warm and stout, for that. And 3, it's Halloween week, so Dragon Halloween.
Okay.
I thought it was a nice little mixture. So anyway, let's see what it's
cheers.
like. Cheers, Robert.
Cheers, Robbie. Oh, Robert, you're going to hate this. Give me your glass. No, you don't like it. Give me your glass.
You can taste the vanilla in there.
Yeah.
And there's a bit of coconut almost that comes through on the back end of that. You can, because it's an imperial stout, you can feel the warm and barrel-aged bourbon coming through right away.
The warmth from the bourbon is there. I agree with you 100%.
Yeah,
I don't taste the coconut as much, but definitely the vanilla.
There's a little sweetness there for sure. So vanilla, maybe coconut, something like that. But
really good, really good, guys. This is if you're in Ontario, Dragon's Milk, New Holland Brewing.
Interesting thing as well. This is an all-year.
Really?
Product from Dragons from
I can see that. I can see that.
So, but if you're in the US as well, because I know we've got a lot of listeners in the US.
Perfect.
Great drink.
All right, so I'm going to seriously, Rob, give me your glass.
No, don't stay back.
No.
You don't like it?
No. This is not a Robert beer. I'm enjoying this one though. I really like a stout. But let's get back to YouTube, which is really why we're here. So, Danny, we deal with a lot of YouTube celebrities with the various clients that we work with. A lot of the research that we did when we wrote Influence Marketing. Is this to be expected? And what do you think is leading to this? Burnout en masse and everybody just basically calling it quits.
I think it's twofold. I think from an influencer point of view, there's pressure to be the biggest, to have the most followers, to get the most contracts with brands, etc. And that's how you build your influence, if you like. From a brand point of view, you want to get the people with the biggest voice or the biggest opportunity to share your product or service with their audience. So you get these two coming together. It's almost like two perfect storms hitting each other in the middle, where you've got the influencer under pressure to perform from a numbers point of view to attract brands, and brands under pressure to perform, from a marketing dollar point of view with the biggest bang for the buck. And I think the pressure there eventually is going to, it has to have a release valve. And I think this is it, because these guys need to always be on and do something different.
Right.
So
we have, for me, there's two sides of this. There's the mental health concerns that I'd like to talk about, because I think this is important for everybody to know. But also, from a marketer standpoint, who are you reaching out to? How are you managing the talent that you're finding in these channels? One of the things that I don't think a lot of people understand is how YouTube works and how a lot of these guys make their money.
Right.
So definitely they make their money by views, right? The more views that they have, they might get a piece of revenue from the ads that are going to get served up to them. But also, I think for them, it's more the swag that they get, the free trips that they get, the sponsorships that they get, paid for placement of product in their videos or to do review videos, anything like that. So YouTubers, for those of you that don't know, that's how they make their money. And it can be pretty lucrative for, some of them, especially the guys that are up in the millions of followers, can really make a decent living. The problem, though, is to stay on top. Right. YouTube now, their algorithm helps you if you are posting frequently. So if you're posting every day, chances are they're going to feature your video more so than if you're posting once a week. Because clearly they're like any other producer, any other television network, they're looking for good content and for frequency. So the more you give them to make money on, the more they're going to promote you. And they understand, the good YouTubers are understanding that that's what the algorithm is calling for. Right. So there's constant pressure to produce new content, and they're buckling under the pressure of that, because a lot of these guys are really young.
They're kids, basically.
You know what I mean? Some of them are solo entrepreneurs, like working out of their bedroom in some cases. They've done enough success to maybe get some really good camera equipment and video editing equipment, but they don't really have a team of people around them to help them develop this. So this is really becoming a problem. On the other side, though, where I want to talk about is the businesses. So what should a marketer do? What should a business do that might be looking to go into this channel with this fear that they're going to be potentially hiring somebody that's burning out, or that they might be contributing to somebody burning out? Right. What can they do to sort of watch for this or prevent it?
Well, I think, and it depends on the size of the business, obviously, but most businesses have some form of employee program where HR has a program in place to look after their well-being. They have a number you can call, a person you can go to speak to in HR, etc. And I think if you're going to work with someone, online, you have to sort of make an extension of, okay, I need to be responsible, for this person's well-being as well, because they're essentially part of my brand now, part of my product offerings. So I think if businesses are going in just for the sake of using these guys and heavily emphasizing the word using, because I do find a lot of brands do use influencers, unethically, if you like. So I think there's a responsibility for brands now to actually look and see how they're taking care of the influencers itself.
That's mighty socialist of you.
Well, I'm a Bernie Sanders guy.
Are you a Bernie bro?
Yeah, you know what? I'm not a Bernie bro, but I did agree with a lot of his stuff. Last year.
There's gonna be one hell of a fight in
afterwards.
This office if you understand the makeup of our office after this podcast. But you know what? I'm not sure that I agree with you there, Danny, because I don't believe it's the brand's responsibility to protect a talent that they're hiring on contract, although it is a nice thing to do if they can. But to treat them or to have them under the same employee benefit program that they have, then hire that person, which is a separate conversation, because that's something that I've always said about influencers, right? If you find, and this is the approach that I would take, maybe it's a middle ground. I've always said, when you find an influencer out there that really produces interesting content and that can generate the kind of numbers that you're hoping to engage, especially if it's the right target for your product, don't pay them to post on your behalf. Bring them on as talent. hire them as a content developer under your brand, producing for you creative ideas and work that way. In that case, you're bringing them in as an employee under your company, and then yes, extend whatever benefits you offer to the rest of your employees. In that case, I think it's good. Otherwise, I would say brands should be particularly careful with YouTube. If they're going to be going after YouTube celebrities, understand that this is an industry that is based quite a bit on BS. You know what I mean? It is one of those industries where it's been almost self-created by celebrities for the sake of celebrities. The YouTube version of Paris Hilton.
Right.
Basically, right? I'm going to do whatever wacky thing I can do to become famous and get a lot of viewers. And one of the things that I've been noticing, especially those that are blowing up, or not blowing up, like combusting publicly in the fashion industry, so makeup and fashion, a lot of them that are coming out to say, look, guys, this is all fake.
Yeah.
Right. This is all photoshopped. A couple of them that I just read were publicly announcing that they're buying followers, or that they're being paid to say certain things that aren't true,
right?
Or that they themselves are buying comments and likes to boost their numbers up so that YouTube will feature them.
Yeah. Well, it's the same on Instagram, right? There's a lot at the moment about the fake engagement on Instagram.
That's right.
By bots that are actually liking or just putting a scripted comment onto the post. Right?
Yeah, that's right. Well, just the fact that they have to do that, you know what I mean, already shows what the pressure that is on these guys. So for me, like, again, I don't want to diminish the importance of the mental health aspect of this and what it's doing to these poor kids. And I think that's something that we as a society need to address. But specifically for the purposes, of this production, we're talking to marketers. And so what I would look to say is YouTube celebrities, Instagram and YouTube, makeup and fashion were one of the first industries to sort of lead the push into developing and leveraging these influencers. And they're the first ones now to be burning out and to be calling BS on this whole industry. Remember Joel Ostrosky, the fat Jewish? That was a couple of episodes back where he came out and said, look, this was I've made a lot of money. He was on music videos, and he had a deal for a television program. I don't know if it was on Netflix or on cable TV. And he came out and said, it was all bullshit. It was all bullshit. I was selling air. It was just for the sake of eyeballs, and I was getting paid for the sake of eyeballs, not necessarily for selling something. He walked away from it and now started an actual business. Yeah,
he's a wine company.
That he invested in a wine company because he wanted to say, I need to sell something real. So for marketers now, I'm saying, look at this industry a little bit more objectively. Don't buy into the hype, because if the first industry to sort of balloon, which was fashion and makeup on YouTube, they're the ones who are leading the way, saying it was all BS and all the backroom deals to get numbers up, fake followers. Then technology is going to be next, manufacturing is going to be next, like fitness, all the others that are sort of
video games,
video game reviews, computer reviews, all that kind of stuff. They're going to be next, I think, to show the, I guess, sort of the dirty underbelly of that YouTube, Instagram celebrity for the sake of celebrity interest. So understand that this is probably coming, and be much, much more critical when it comes to hiring or selecting these YouTubers as an influencer. And if they're not going to do that, who should they hire? How do you do it right?
Yeah. Well, I know there's a company, I don't know if like the UK or somewhere in Europe, that have got a piece of software now that can identify the fake influence, the fake, engagement, etc. And they run a test on 10,000 influencers, or so-called influencers, and about something like 75 or 80% of their content or their engagement was all bot. So you're thinking, unless you can afford to have that technology, how are you going to know, what's bot, what's not bot? And you can sort of look at engagement, but still,
that's a good point.
I think it's tough for some brands coming in. If you don't know what you're doing, because you've heard, I need to work with influencers, but I don't know what I'm doing, how to actually connect and what I should be looking for metric wise, etc.
Well, last week we did our influence marketing workshop here at the office with a number of big brands. And I know that was one of the topics of conversation is that how do I identify if they're real or not? And one of the focuses that one of the I guess the instructions that I gave there, which is something we've talked about since we wrote the book, is, well, stop focusing on the influencer.
Right.
A real influence marketing program focuses on the customer. How do they make a decision? And then who sways that decision? And then you determine who you want to engage. If you're focusing on an influencer, you're going to be looking for somebody with big numbers.
Right. Yeah.
Right. And understand that these guys make money that way and it's very competitive. So they're going to want to drive up their numbers. Right. So that's going to be quite a problem if you're not understanding that. And there's a fundamental shift that I think has to happen with brands that we've been preaching for a while. And I think it's just now starting to take hold, and maybe in part because of what we're seeing. Is that shift that I'm not going to hire somebody just because they've got a large audience. I'm going to hire somebody based on their ability to move the needle for my business, which means it has to be somebody that's in my industry, people who use my product as an example, right?
Goes back to the relevance, right?
Well, yeah, exactly. And I hold this whole thing about situational influence and understanding who can overcome whatever is happening today. So let's talk about that. How does somebody then go ahead? If you definitely want to use this channel, there are agencies out there that will sell you access to influencers, which presumably have vetted.
Presumably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
kind of like clout vetted all the influence way back 10, 12 years ago.
Yeah, no, exactly. So you can certainly do that, but how else would they do it knowing that a lot of those agencies, because I know those talent agencies, when you're hiring like an actor, there's some kind of a guarantee. There's a contract of service that if they don't give you whatever output has been sort of contracted, you will get some money back or a portion of your money back. Yeah. With influencers, all the contracts that I've seen anyway, none of them will give you any kind of a guarantee.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? That work is going to be performed because this is not necessarily a professional audience. These are just a lot of kids working out of their bedrooms, right? So what other advice can we give people? What else can they do to identify the right YouTuber or Instagram celebrity if in fact they wanted to go that route?
Well, I think the key part, goes back to relevance, but you look for people that are already talking about your industry and your niche within that industry. So like a sub-industry, because they've already got a vested interest in, wanting better products for their followers and their listeners. So you find that's a good starting point. I don't think it's too bad an idea for brands to think about, okay, we're looking for a minimum amount of commitment from you when it comes to some form of metrics, even fluff metrics, but some form of metrics says your average engagement is 1,000 likes. We'll be happy with 700. Can you give us that? Or something where you sort of look at an agreement between brand and an influencer that, that gives something back for the dollars you're going to actually commit to the.
Getting back to your employee, how contract idea, like treating them like an employee. How would you do that if they were an employee? You have job description. You have a job description, and you've got job objectives. You know what I mean? And if you don't meet your job objectives, guess what? You're fired.
Well, it's like the clients we work with. We always work out a basic commitment from the influencers we work with. We know that we're giving you X, Y, Z to give us the feedback on, etc. This is the commitment we require from you, and they sign up to that. They know what's expected then.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. We're getting the signal. Oh, what's wrong with our bell? There it is. So we got to fix our bell. There's something wrong with this bell. Anyway, we're getting last call.
Will you send us Stephen?
It's a
piece of crap.
Maybe it's this Halloween thing that's going on right now. It's possessed. So let's talk about that. Final thoughts on, I don't know, maybe one piece of advice or one lesson learned that we've learned from our experience working with these YouTube celebrities with our cases, or what we're learning from, what's happening right now. I'll go first. And for me, it's don't look for the influencer. As I said earlier, look for your customer. But if you are going to go and find influencers, once you know what changes your customer's sort of decision-making process or influences that, develop partnerships with them. There's nothing wrong with working together with them, right? And saying, okay, this is our objective. Give me some ideas of how we can achieve our objective. How can I help you? How will producing this content affect your channel? And then work together with what those objectives are. If you develop a partnership with a good content producer, as opposed to just using them for volume, you're going to be, I think, a lot better off, especially if you build in metrics. Say, look, we're looking to sell X number of products. Help us sell this number of products, and then you'll get paid based on the number of products you sell. Yeah. Which then, to your point, is if you find somebody who's already engaged in this industry, is already using your product or a competitor's product, then you know their followers are going to be customers. So it's just going to be a little bit more, I think, safer for your brand to use, and maybe, help kill some of the pressure that we're putting on. That's maybe a bad word to use.
Well,
you know what I mean? Stop some of the fake, ballooning of these accounts that we see happening.
Yeah.
How about for you? What's the one final thought you want to pull away?
I think I'll probably just like piggyback on that and look at what the end goal of your campaign is going to be. What's the reason for you working with influencers? Is it to sell product? Is it to build brand awareness, etc.? And then, like you mentioned, actually get the influencers that are right for that particular goal. Because if you're looking to say sell product, it's no good getting a bunch of macro influencers that will raise awareness but won't actually drive anything along to actually purchase.
Right.
So just really look at the influencer, as you mentioned, make sure it's right for the the brand, the relevance, the fit, and then look at the end goal and build back from there. Same as the idea is building back from the customer.
Yeah, that makes some sense. All right, thanks, mate. We appreciate it. Thanks to everybody for listening.
Yeah, as I mentioned before, if you enjoy these videos, make sure you hit the like, subscribe, and the little bell at the top as well. We have a bell, so a little bell up there somewhere about got notifications anytime. Oh, Sam's doing his finger thing again. Anytime that you see our video gets published, you'll get a notification. If you listen to the podcast, by all means, subscribe on your favorite channel. Seemingly, we're fairly big on Spotify, which is nice.
Yeah.
So anyway, subscribe on the podcast and give us your feedback as to what you'd like to see in future episodes.
And don't forget to say, we're not sponsored by any beer company. So if you have a beer you want us to try, send it to us because we're cheap and we like free beer. Cheers, everybody.
Guys.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Cheers.